but so far that is pretty good for highway terrain tyres and a car that does not have a part-time four-wheel drive system. This here is your new generation Subaru Forester, and in this combined review we're going to answer two things. Should you pick the regular petrol powered version over Subaru's new e-boxter hybrid system? And secondly, if we take a look at it, nothing appears to be different, and buyers might argue that we like it like that. The formula has worked for almost 30 years. But I think that puts Subaru in a position of being left behind. And therefore, the Subaru Forester isn't perfect, but throughout this video, we're going to talk about some of the great things about the Forester as well. And we're also going to have a bit of fun. We're going to take this out off-roading. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hit the bell. And before it gets too cold and windy, let's get straight into the video. First, what is there to know before walking into a showroom? The whole Subaru Forester range starts from over $43,000 and $46,000 for the hybrid version, making the Forester not as expensive comparing it to other rivals, but it still certainly isn't the cheapest. And there are 4 different levels of specification and 3 different trim levels for the hybrid version, plus a wide selection of colours to pick from. And if you pick out this touring version, you have the option between black leather or a black and brown two-tone combination. And finally, in terms of ownership, warranty, servicing, running costs, everything you need to know has been listed on your screen. Right, let's now talk about styling. So the Forester does retain a boxy shape like on previous generations, but you do get newly styled LED headlights with auto high beam, headlight washers, and the headlights can also change direction as you steer. And of course you've got some body cladding with 220mm of ground clearance and LED fog lights integrated within that black trim. Moving on to the side view, the Touring gets a set of 18-inch 2-combination black and machined finish wheels and these highway terrain tyres. There are also automatic power folding mirrors and black roof rails, dark tinted privacy glass from B-pillar to the back, and the rugged looking plastic body cladding across the side looking lowered down. And both the Touring and Sport get a large panoramic glass sunroof that does open and close. Moving on to the rear, you get a set of partial LED tail lights and halogen bulbs for the indicators, which is a bit unusual to see on a car launching in 2025, whereas most brand new rivals have full LED lighting, which does make them a lot more modern. Other highlights include Forester engraved into the tailgate, body cladding down on that lower section with an exhaust pipe, and nothing on the left-hand side, which again does look a bit unusual. And if you do go for the sports grade, you get 19-inch wheels finished off in bronze finishes across the exterior, dark highlights, and brown finishes on the inside. And tell me which one you'd pick, and also what do you think of the design of the Forester? Write down your feedback below, as styling is subjective. Here on the inside, nothing appears to be different, or aside from the bigger touchscreen media system, but it is going to come across very familiar to most Subaru buyers, but I'm still trying to work out whether or not that is a good or bad thing. Let me know in the comments, do you think Subaru should get more innovative, or do you like the way the interior looks? But I will say this, it does feel like it'll last a very long time. Up the top here is soft and squidgy, water repellent material on this section and some suede, soft touch padding where you rest your elbow. And again, the dashboard is relatively soft padding with this interesting design pattern, a little bit of wood grain, and of course a bit durable when you look lower down, but again, water repellent material. And the steering wheel feels very good to grip onto. You do have some brown stitching, and that also offers both manual tilt and reach adjustment. Soft padding on the center console, and the seats are finished off in synthetic leather with this suede upholstery and brown stitching. They also include electric seat adjustment, seat heating, ventilation on this top grade touring model. The Sport does miss out on seat ventilation, but you still get seat heating and water repellent leather upholstery, which might be a bit more suitable using your Forester as a family vehicle. And over in the center, you've got a climate control menu and some touch sensitive controls along with some physical buttons. And you've also got dials for the media system, buttons on the steering wheel, The menu structure is also pretty easy to navigate through, and you have key features like voice recognition. That also works with Siri, as you do have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. There's also inbuilt TomTom navigation, and if I go into radio, AM, FM, DAB, and media functions include Bluetooth, USB, and a 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, which comes on both the Sport and Touring grades. And all Foresters come with a surround view camera system with a few different angles to pick from, but it isn't as configurable or as high-tech compared to other camera systems. There are also front and rear parking sensors, and along with a rear cross traffic alert, an auto-dimming rear vision mirror, and Subaru's eyesight technology, which entails a forward collision warning, and other key safety items such as blind spot monitoring, a lane departure warning with a lane keeping assistant, and adaptive cruise control that keeps you within distance between yourself and the vehicle in front. There's traffic sign recognition, and on this top section, a driver monitoring system which alerts you if you are not paying attention on the road, and you can also set up driver profiles with this camera system, for example, setting up seating and mirror positions. And if I go back into the media system, car info, this is going to show you pitch and roll, driving information and your maintenance. And going back to the infotainment, you can cycle between different menus up the top here, but this is your X mode. Your drive mode's between normal, snow and dirt, and deep snow and mud. And this button here is to activate the hill descent control, which actually works pretty well. And it's also worth pointing out that if you step up to the hybrid model, you get a customizable information display, whereas on the petrol models, they get a plain cluster with a small screen in the middle. Storage is also pretty good. You've got a decent sized glove box that fits the owner's manual in. And down the bottom here, a wireless phone charging pad, an aux cord, and two USB A and C charging ports. You've also got two cup holders over in the center, a 12 volt 120 watt power socket, and decent center console storage, and the door bins are quite small, but you can shove in a big water bottle. Over on the top section, a sunglasses holder and vanity mirrors behind the sun visors, and you can even extend this out to block out sun. But what about accessibility? Well, it is a medium-sized SUV. After all, it is easy to climb in and out. You also get keyless entry, a remote key, and push ignition button down the bottom here. Here in the second row, with this seat set in my position, knee room is pretty decent, so is toe room, and so is headroom, thanks to the boxy design of the cabin, which means fitting 3 adults in the back is possible, and there's good knee room, toe room, headroom in the middle section. You can also recline the back seats backwards and forwards, however, no ability to slide forwards and backwards, but apart from that, I am happy with the space back here. There are also directional air vents with a USB-C and A port, map pockets and device holders. The door bins are quite small, but they can just fit a large water bottle. And over in the center, a flip down armrest with 2 small cup holders. And I do also like the quirky safety features, like for example, when you open the door, you'll find reinforcement pins that will protect your rear passengers. That is a fantastic feature, and of course you've got child safety locks, which is pretty common on most SUVs these days. And what about child seats? Well, the 2 outboard seats are ISOFIX compatible, and behind me there are 3 top tether points. Let's now talk about boot space. This version, the Touring and the Sport, come with an automatic powered tailgate, which also entails a kick-down function. So for example, if you have the key in your pocket, your hands full of shopping, you can swipe your foot underneath and the boot will open. And from what I can see, you have a nice wide opening, and it is easy to shove things into the back, and enough room for 2 large suitcases. And depending on which version you pick, you have under 500 litres of boot space, and you can also electronically fold the second row down into a 60-40 configuration. And to keep all of your items in place, tie-down hooks and shopping bag hooks, and there's also a 12 volt socket. And this petrol version comes with a full-size spare wheel, and that is also the location for the toolkit. However, if you pick the hybrid version, you don't get a spare wheel, just a tyre repair kit. Before we go for a drive, let's take a look at the powertrains between non-hybrid and the e-boxter. So this one I have here is the non-hybrid version, and it is a 2.5 litre flat 4 petrol engine, which develops 136 kilowatts and 247 newton meters of torque. Whereas going for the hybrid version, you do get less power and torque from the engine alone, 121 kilowatts and 212 newton meters of torque. But it is all backed up by 2 electric motors, one for the starter motor and one to give you electric power to the drivetrain. And I think Subaru did the right thing sticking to a Toyota source hybrid system, because Toyota hybrids are known to be efficient, reliable, and they do hold their resale value quite well. And on paper at least, it does sound pretty unique. You get a flat 4 engine with a low centre of gravity because it does sit low down as the pistons move outwards. And all versions get Subaru's symmetrical permanent all-wheel drive system. And you might be asking, well, you can get an all-wheel drive version in a RAV4, why do I need this? Well, RAV4 is front-wheel drive based like many of its competitors, and you also have a rear electric motor, whereas the Subaru system is a full-time all-wheel drive system and all 4 wheels run at the same time, which does give you that added grip, safety on the road, and a little bit of off-road capability, as you do have 220 millimeters of ground clearance, a few driving modes. But which is best, the hybrid version, or should you stick with the normal petrol? So does the Forester fit in 2025? Well, for starters, the ergonomics are very good, combined with the good all-round visibility. This is an easy car to live with and get used to. The turning circle is under 11 meters, and that is great for maneuvering around the city, so a tight turning circle. The steering is also electric, but it doesn't feel simulated like it does in other rivals, and combined with the all-wheel drive system, which is, as I said, much more unique compared to your typical Toyota RAV4 hybrid all-wheel drive, it does grip the road really nicely, no matter if it's wet or unsettled. So yeah, very good feedback through the wheel, and it does give you that added security and confidence, and that is important as a safety benefit if you are using this as a family vehicle. The refinement is also pretty good. A little bit of road noise and a bit of tyre noise coming into the cabin, but it is amongst one of the better cars in the segment when it comes to comfort. The seats are very supportive, and you do have strut type suspension at the front, a multi-link at the back, so it is pretty good going over bumps, and when it comes to absorbing really sharp potholes, very good as well. The acceleration, look, it's okay, but it's not going to blow you away in terms of performance, but it is quick enough getting up to speed on the freeway. This also uses a CVT transmission, which also does make a little bit of noise when it gets past 4,000 RPM. It does make the Forester feel a little bit dated in terms of how it drives, but yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I did live with it for a whole week, and I found it to be pretty comfortable and refined. The driver assistance also reacts pretty well. Setting the adaptive cruise control, once you work out all the buttons, that is easy to engage, and that keeps you at a set distance. The lane centering as well worked fine, no troubles there, but that monitoring system does go off a couple of times, and that can be a little bit annoying, even the noise it makes. You can also turn that off, but that obviously turns back on at every ignition cycle, and even if you just move your head over by the wing mirror, sometimes it will go off as well. So yes, a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. Okay, driving impressions inside the hybrid version. Now, I'm currently driving around East Sydney. The roads are pretty terrible around here, and if we take a look outside, it is pouring down with rain, but the permanent all-wheel drive system is working wonders, and the Forester has not lost its edge. It is still dynamic. There's loads of confidence when you flick it into corners, but the biggest key change to this hybrid version is it is silent on takeoff and when you are braking, and of course driving around at low speeds. Listen to the cabin, hardly any noise, and you can also run it in EV mode by pushing on this button. but you've just got to make sure you've got enough charge in the battery pack. This does also have regen braking, and if you do have enough charge and if you haven't been driving around too quickly, it does last between 1 to 2 minutes in traffic. Well, that was my personal record. And it does also feel a bit more responsive. You still get X mode on the 2 different driving modes, and if you put it into S, put your foot down, the hybrid system integrates well, and it does feel a bit more powerful compared to the regular petrol powered version. And what about fuel consumption? Subaru says that this non-hybrid version will get 7.9 litres per 100, and driving around the city, countryside, a mix of driving, you'll see between 9 to 10 litres per 100. But is the hybrid better? Well, the official number for that is 6.2 litres per 100, and for reference, the benchmark is the Toyota RAV4 hybrid, which will get between 4.7 and 4.8 for the all-wheel drive version. So already we are far off in terms of competing with some of the main rivals, and driving around you'll get just over 7 litres per 100, which isn't fantastic, but a lot better compared to the petrol powered models. But tell me what you think. Do you think those figures are good? And do you think it is worth spending the premium stepping up to the hybrid version? Let me know in the comments below. And now time for some off-road driving impressions. So I'm going to put it into X mode, snow and dirt, because we are on a dirt surface. So right now we're going to try and tackle this hill. I don't know how far we're going to climb up. I'm not expecting it to make it, but you know, let's just see what happens. So yeah, let's put it into mud. Were you expecting it to go this far?
No, I've got confidence.
It did rain, but it's dried up. But so far that is pretty good for highway terrain tyres and a car that does not have a part-time four-wheel drive system. And going up the steep part. So you just got to remember to go a little bit slow. But so far so good. It isn't scraping, and even though I am applying light acceleration, it's not struggling. Pretty good. And this function here is hill descent control, and this function automatically applies the brakes to prevent yourself locking up the wheels, and it's doing a decent job. And it's not touching too. Pretty good ground clearance. And I've also got a special guest helping me film who has bought a Forester, the same one as this, a touring petrol powered version, and he loves it. Don't you, Casey?
Yes, it's wonderful. Great car.
So I'm taking him with me doing a bit of off-road content, and he's helping me film, which is great. And what colour is your car? What combination?
Autumn green with a brown and black suede leather.
Yeah, that is a nice combination. Yeah, and what made you buy that? Because you were looking at a couple of other brands as well. You were looking at a Tucson and what else?
Kia, Toyota RAV4, but just the reliability of Subaru and having one in the past, an older model.
So with off-road driving impressions out of the way, let's now finish off with a verdict. So the Subaru Forester, what do we think? Would I pick the plain petrol over the hybrid? So yes, it is much more efficient compared to the plain petrol version, but the formula isn't the same as Toyota's. and therefore if fuel efficiency was my priority, I'd stick with the RAV4 hybrid. But in saying that, if I was in the market for something that drives a little bit better, that does also hold its value and is also pretty much reliable, I'd definitely recommend a Subaru Forester, specifically this touring model. And also, help me out, let me know your feedback. Do you think Subaru should have done more with the styling, technology, or at least made this look like an all-new model, just not like a heavy facelift? Do you think Subaru should have done more to the innovation, or do you like it the way it is? Let me know what you think, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.